In Saskatchewan, if rent remains unpaid for 15 days or you're in arrears for 15 days, you can be served an immediate notice to vacate. And typically that's 24 to 48 hours given to vacate the property.
This is the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. Today we're diving into one of the most important and often misunderstood areas of real estate, rental housing. Whether you're a landlord, a tenant, or just thinking about getting into the rental market, understanding your rights and responsibilities is absolutely key. Joining me is Landon Field, President of Rental Housing Saskatchewan. Landon is on the front lines of housing policy and advocacy in our province, and this episode we're unpacking everything from damage deposits and rent increases to eviction rules and dispute resolutions. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Wonderful. Landon, let's just quickly get the cat out of the bag here. You're coming in for Cam Chiquette, who was a wonderful president with Rental Housing Saskatchewan. Big shoes to fill, but you've been with Rental Housing Saskatchewan all along the way. Just give us kind of your take of how it's been. I guess it's now your first couple of months in the role of CEO of Rental Housing Saskatchewan.
Absolutely. And so I have been with the organization basically since 2021, the fall of that year, supporting our members, doing a number of events throughout the province and connecting and answering their questions and working closely, as you said, with Cam, who was absolutely great. It's a real honor to take this role, and it's a role that I take very seriously because, as you mentioned, rentals are a crucial part of Saskatchewan's housing continuum. And so I'm absolutely excited to come on here, connect with you, and then meet our members throughout the province over the next number of months.
Amazing. Walk us through just on an overview to start us off with. What is Rental Housing Saskatchewan and what does it do?
Yeah, Rental Housing Saskatchewan. Some people may be familiar with the name Saskatchewan Landlord Association. We did launch a new name and a new brand last fall at our conference to more accurately reflect the membership and who we are in the province right now. And so we do represent over 1,000 individual rental housing providers, property management companies and staff and landlords throughout the province. And our focus is really on education first, advocacy, standing up for landlord rights and standing up for our members, whether that's on municipal issues, provincial issues, or federal in some cases with the Housing Accelerator Fund and getting rental built in the province. And so what our organization does is connects with members right across the province and hosts educational events on a number of topics and connects our members with service providers and companies that can help them with their business.
Love it. Landon, today for this episode, what I really wanted to do is there's always these like little questions around being a landlord or dealing with tenants or
Right.
tenants dealing with landlords. And I thought it'd be so great to just almost do a quick fire Q&A. So I've got a list of questions here prepared and we're just going to knock them down one by one. And we're going to start us off with the first kind of overview topic is rent deposits and repairs. Can you break down what's legally required in a lease agreement and what's optional or negotiable?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready for the rapid fire here. So when we want those lease agreements, if you want to do something in writing, you can have a verbal agreement, but it's best to kind of get that documented down into a formal lease. You want the name of who the tenant is, the landlord name, the property address, when rent is due, and that's strongly recommended to be the first of the month, and then how much rent is due. And so you want all of that in a lease agreement. We do have templates available. There are also some online, but that's basically the basics that you want to include. And then you also want to talk about the security or damage deposit. That's the equivalent of 1 month's rent. Half is due before the keys are given to the tenant. The tenant does have 60 days to pay the remainder of the security deposit, but what we find is, just ask for that up front, and most renters are happy to pay that.
So some tenants right now, their ears might be perking up because maybe their landlord's not doing this quite correctly. What is the most that a landlord can charge for a security deposit in Saskatchewan?
The most that you can charge for a security deposit is equivalent to 1 month's rent at the time that the tenant moves in. And so that's kind of the quick answer. And that's meant to cover damages done to the property beyond reasonable wear and tear at the end of the tenancy. Renters should understand that paying a damage deposit is not just paying your last month's rent early or paying your first month's rent early. The damage deposit is meant for damages, and then it can be claimed by the landlord to cover those damages or rent loss.
Something that's been really important in recent years with the cost of running a real estate business going up and up
Mhm.
is the increase of rents. Walk us through, can rent be increased at any time, and what rules govern how much, when it can be raised? And I'll throw in this little nugget that this is kind of the reason why people should be a part of your organization as well with Rental Housing Saskatchewan. But walk us through the rental increases and how those increments can be done.
Yeah, so in Saskatchewan, rental increase is done according to a timeline that's set out by the Office of Residential Tenancies and the Residential Tenancies Act. And so if you're on a month to month or periodic tenancy, your landlord or as a landlord, you should be giving 12 months notice for rental increases. If you are a member of Rental Housing Saskatchewan, you can give a 6-month notice for that time frame. If you're on a fixed term lease or you're locked in for whether it's a year or 6 months, there can be no increase during that time, but there is a 2-month notice of intention form that can be served prior to the tenancy ending, where a new lease can be negotiated, a rental increase can be given, or the lease can be terminated.
Walk us through repairs. Who is responsible for repairs, and what's the tenant's responsibility versus the landlord's?
Yeah, it's a great question. And because it is kind of a gray area, to be honest. So, the more structural, the major repairs, those are the things that the landlord will do. You know, if an appliance breaks down or something to that nature, the day to day cleanliness, the smaller repairs, those are typically done by the renter. And in lots of cases, you can stipulate those responsibilities right into the lease agreement. You should also, I should mention, there is a standard conditions form that the ORT and the Residential Tenancies Act has, where it's kind of stipulates responsibilities. It should be included with every lease agreement, even if it's a verbal agreement. And that also outlines some of those responsibilities.
If there are damages to a property done by the tenant, what is the proper process for a landlord to recover the costs?
Right. So it is kind of that reasonable wear and tear that you're looking for at the end of a tenancy. Typically, what's done is the damage deposit, that cost will be deducted from that at the end of the tenancy. If it's something that happens kind of in the middle of the tenancy and there's damage done by the tenant, whether that's flushing Legos down the toilet and the plumber comes back and says this was something that the renter caused, that is a cost that can be passed along to the tenant, and you can create kind of a repayment plan or work out a payment plan with them. Otherwise, damages can be deducted from the security deposit at the end of the tenancy. In lots of cases, what we're seeing is the security deposit often doesn't cover the cost associated with a lot of these damages. And so that's where monetary claims can be filed.
And so this is something that would take place over and above the security deposit. Let's say a wall gets blown out for whatever reason, something happens, major structure that needs to be fixed that's over and above what that security deposit would be. Walk us through a little bit of those steps that if the security deposit doesn't cover the damages done, what takes place?
Yeah, Ron, that is something that we do see in lots of cases. Damages done to the property, in addition to rent loss on the property, the damage deposit simply doesn't cover that. So a monetary claim is often a tool that's used by landlords, but it's an onerous process where you need to document everything, whether that's receipts, your own time, and it's also very important that you can prove what the property looked like prior to the tenants moving in, to prove that that was damage caused by them. So in that case, it's important to do a walkthrough inspection, take pictures, take videos if necessary. We do have a walkthrough or move-in form available at our office where it's kind of a checklist that you should follow, but it's just very important to do those thorough walkthroughs and inspections, document everything, and over-submit when it comes to evidence for monetary claims, especially in cases where the damage, really exceeds that security deposit.
Real estate investing does not have to be a full-time job. Randall Haber and Boys Group Realty provide complete property management services in Yorkton and surrounding areas, allowing investors to enjoy passive income without the headaches of day-to-day management. From finding tenants to handling maintenance and rent collection, Whether you own a property or are just getting started in the market, Randall Haber and Boys Group Realty makes it simple. Call Randall Haber at 306-782-1323 or email info@ralixenterprises.com to take the next step towards hands-free real estate investing. Your property, our expertise. Whether it's your home, business, or farm, Pioneer Solar and Renewables has you covered. As leaders in residential, commercial, and agriculture solar solutions, they make clean energy easy and affordable. Visit pioneersolarenergy.com or give them a call to begin harnessing the power of the sun today. Are you investing in real estate? Let Krishna with Boys Group Realty take care of everything. Finding properties, purchasing, renovations, leasing, and management, leaving you to focus on building wealth. Whether it's a single rental or an entire portfolio, serving Saskatoon and surrounding areas, helping maximize cash flows and minimize stress. If you're looking for an expert to manage your investments, reach out today, home@meetkrishna.ca.
Switching gears here from rent, deposits, and repairs, moving into ending a tenancy. What are the proper steps for a landlord to evict a tenant, and how long does it typically take?
And that it really depends on the issue. So when we're talking about, for example, you don't pay your rent, what happens is that, late rent reminders are sent. Typically rent is due on the 1st. In Saskatchewan, if rent remains unpaid for 15 days or you're in arrears for 15 days, you can be served an immediate notice to vacate. And typically that's 24 to 48 hours given to vacate the property. If the tenant overholds or refuses to leave, that's where a claim needs to be filed with the Office of Residential Tenancies. You're expected to have a rent ledger, the lease agreement, proof of serving the notice. And then, to go through that entire process typically could be up to a couple of weeks, depending on the situation. So again, it's very important to document things. When we're talking about an eviction for cause, this is where there's been repeated instances of behavior that has not been remedied by the tenant for a number of issues. And that's, in contradiction to the lease agreement as it's written. Typically, after a couple warning letters, if the tenants are still refusing to change their behavior or remedy the situation, you can give them 1 month's notice, and that's the end of the following month, or 1 calendar month's notice to vacate. There's a couple other instances, like if you're selling your property, it's important to remember that the tenants are tied to the property, not necessarily the landlord. So when you're serving that notice, it's 1 month's notice that the purchaser is going to occupy the property. Or if you miss that and you sell the property, the new owner can give 2 months notice that the owner intends to occupy the unit. That can also be used by the landlord if a close family member or friend is going to be occupying the space.
Let's switch the roles a little bit. If I'm a tenant and I'm living in a property, and let's say that I need to break a lease early, is there any way to do this without penalty, or how can we handle that situation?
If you're signed into a fixed term agreement, you are responsible for the duration of that term. That's pretty clear in the Residential Tenancies Act. And so if you are breaking a lease, in some cases there may be lease break fees, but if you're breaking a lease and you move out, just remember that you're still responsible for the duration of that term, or until the landlord can re-rent the suite. So it's important to remember that if you're signing on to a lease, you are responsible for the duration of that term.
What are the most common mistakes that landlords make during the eviction process?
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's critical, really, to use the correct forms and give the correct notices. And you want to make sure that you're documenting everything, over document in some cases, keep all of the evidence that's required. Because if it gets to a point where you're going to a hearing, you need to be armed with evidence to prove your case. Our office is happy to help members and non-members alike make sure that they're following the correct process, that they're doing things that are within the bounds of the Residential Tenancies Act. And because these common slip-ups, you don't want to be caught up on a technicality. And so it's important to make sure that you're doing your due diligence and you're serving the correct notice, and you're following the process as it's written.
Brilliant. And our last section, we're talking about navigating disputes and appeals. If a tenant or landlord feels unfairly treated, how can they file a complaint or appeal a decision?
Yeah, and information would be included in a decision on how to appeal and how that process works. If the decision is appealed, it would be appealed to the Court of King's Bench, where the landlord is, anticipated to represent themselves in that hearing. Same with the tenants, and you can kind of present evidence as to why there may be errors in fact or in law. Otherwise, if there's no errors in fact or law, there shouldn't be a need to appeal. Lots of these decisions are written so that there are no errors in fact or law going forward. If it is appealed and the appeal is won, it's sent back to the ORT and you have to have a rehearing.
And then just the original part of that question, if a tenant or landlord feels like something's happened, that a party's not been treated fairly, how can they file a complaint, or what's the process for moving forward and remedying that?
Yeah, the process would be going through the Office of Residential Tenancies. They have the jurisdictional authority to make those decisions related to all sorts of claims when it comes to residential landlords and tenants. So that office would handle those disputes.
Are there resources or support services available to landlords or tenants who need help understanding their rights?
Absolutely. Our office, we represent landlords across the province. We're happy to provide information because the regulations are the same whether you're a renter or a landlord right across the province. So I'm happy to answer any further questions. People can contact our office by email or phone. If you're a landlord who is curious about learning more and you want to make sure that you're equipped with all of the resources to make your business successful, you can contact our office and we are happy to partner you with the right people, equip you with the right tools, and point you in the right direction.
Brilliant. Couple of last questions here for you, Landon. Number one, if someone wants to get in contact with Rental Housing Saskatchewan, they're interested in the services that you folks provide, can you give me some details on how someone could reach out to you?
Absolutely. So our website is our new website to reflect our new name and brand is rentalhousingsk.ca. You can also reach us by email at office@rhsk.ca. Contact our office by phone at 306-639-7149. We're happy to answer any questions and help out landlords.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who's just becoming a landlord or just moving into their first rental?
Absolutely. So I think regardless, whether you're a landlord or a resident, you're entering into a long-term relationship, basically, when it comes to this tenancy. These are people's homes. These are also people's properties and people's livelihoods and their businesses. So it's a very serious long-term relationship, and it's important to make sure that you get along and you have the right people, whether that's the renter finding the right spot or the landlord finding the right resident to live in their suite. That's very important to get off on the right foot. Preventative measures are super important. So that means documenting everything, having clear responsibilities and roles outlined in the lease agreement, and of course, becoming a member of Rental Housing Saskatchewan wouldn't hurt as well.
Amazing. And now on a personal side, Landon, if you had to choose one of the three and then you have to pick one and kind of choose your favorite out of them, give me a movie, a book, a podcast, or an audiobook that you would recommend and why.
So I am absolutely a Star Wars fan at heart, and I just finished watching Andor on Disney Plus, and I couldn't recommend it strongly. I'm a huge Star Wars geek and a political nerd, so it's just a real thrill, and that's what I was kind of obsessed with over the last couple of weeks.
It's interesting how when you watch Star Wars as a kid, you're looking at it from the angle of like, oh, that's cool. They got lightsabers and they have these special powers. And then as you become an adult, there is this like amazing political angle to Star Wars. And you can kind of like look into that. And it is very neat to look at it from the adult lens. So haven't checked that out yet. So I'll add it to my Disney Plus watch list here.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on today, Landon, sharing all of this great information. Really appreciate you guys making time. And I would highly recommend that if folks need information, that Rental Housing Saskatchewan's a wonderful place to get that. So thanks so much, Landon.
Absolutely. Hope to speak to you again soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. Do you need help with your next real estate transaction? Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or investing in real estate, I am here to help you navigate the mortgage process in both Saskatchewan and Alberta, or connect you to a trusted professional. Feel free to send me an email at ron@ronqmortgage.ca or use the booking link to schedule a time to chat. Until next week, I'm Ron Caroni, your Saskatchewan mortgage professional.
Bye for now.